Hey, so you wanted to know about my hugels, and I'm not an expert. I'm just going to tell you that now. So what I have is a couple of acres of take you over to where there's some normal dirt. This is pretty much what I have is just dry sand, and it's just grit and sand. There's nothing. I couldn't grow in this, obviously. It just is, so I was buying soil continuously. I have hugels all over my land. Basically what I do is I rake. So I have a lot of junk on my land, like just leaves like this that will build up. I collect them up, I rake everything up into a pile. I'll try and show you a pile that I haven't worked on yet. So this one over here is a raked pile. It doesn't look much, but basically what will happen is this just gets moved, and this is all just leaves and bits of weed. And often I'm someone, I let my weeds grow, okay? Not too much, obviously, because of fires. I live in a really bad fire area, so I have to be really careful. But what I do is, this one, very soon I'll just cut it off just above the ground so that it grows back again. I have no problem with the weeds growing because I'm using their green leaves to make leaf mulch with, really. And what I do is I just pile it up. So I'll show you some where I've raked. I have a lot of pine needles. I have these huge pine trees on my property. I also have a walnut tree. All of these things, they're constantly dropping stuff on the ground. So I literally just rake it up into these mounds. Now underneath, so these mounds are, I've been working on this mound probably for just over a year. So the stuff that's underneath it, what I do is eventually, if I need soil, I'll dig into this and I'll turn it over. And when I turn this over, the stuff that's deep inside is much richer and holds moisture and is not the same. So I'll show you now some that, so what you can see is that I'm raking up on top and then I'm layering it. But the good stuff, the stuff that's rotted down, is deep down inside of that mound. So I can dig and tip it over, and when I tip it over, the stuff that's inside of it is really yummy compared to what I have. So this mound here will be going on top of this, and then I put soil on top of that, and then I'll usually just wet it down, because once the moisture's into these pine needles that's inside of the soil, it tends to hold the moisture in there. They get hot and then they start to mulch down. So I add to them continuously throughout the summer because the trees are shedding. So, right the way through to autumn, I'm piling them up. And then next year, this will be soil. And I can show you somewhere I've chopped into them, and you'll be able to see like the sediment layers. I'll have to go quick because I don't want to put a really long video up. But so you can see loads of different hugels, different ones happening. You see that there's a little bit of a difference even in the colour of the soil. Do you see the difference? And this is not wet, by the way. This is dry. I don't water over here. I'm not growing in any of this yet. It's not ready, but it's starting to be ready if you look at the difference in the colour. Okay, and you can grow in this, and this will hold moisture. This is starting to really rot down now. But obviously the stuff on the top isn't. The stuff underneath this is actually quite an old hugel. The one at the back here is quite old. If I dig and tip that now, that will be ready. Then I have, and again, I let these weeds grow a little bit, right? and these are ready to be chopped, because the minute they start to look a little brown, then that's when I'm going to take them, is right before that, because I want them while they're green. And what I'll do is I'll just trim them off. I won't actually I won't dig them out, because it's my mulch and I need it. So I'm letting my weeds grow. I let the wildflowers grow. I let them seed. I don't care. I've learned to work with the weeds. Okay, so I'm going to show you this last little bit now. So you can see, like, what I'm doing is I'm growing my garden, and then I'm starting to plant on the top of the good soil now. And so I'm basically bringing my garden out from my house, because that's where I decided to start. So all of this is just all growing on top of the hugel that I planted. Now this hugel is a big hugel, so this was all level. And if I stand down here, that's probably about, it's probably about 4 foot high in the middle there. Okay, so it's a really big hugel. It took me a long time. I'm 50 and I'm a full-time teacher, so I really only work on the holidays and weekends. Here's a hugel that you can see the sediment layers a little bit of where I built it up over time. But you can see the difference even in the colour of it compared to just this plain dirt that really doesn't do anything. You then have this much richer stuff that just, you can see, that's where I would have started way down here. If I was to take this now and dig into it, turn it over, the stuff that's inside, it's all good stuff. Okay, so that's what I've been doing. I'm not an expert, I don't know, but for me it's working, and it's soil that I can grow in, and I don't need to buy any. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just put a little bit of compost on the top that I've bought, but we're talking like 2 handfuls, we're not talking a bag anymore. I don't need it. I can just put a little bit around my plants, and then this stuff is holding the moisture, and it also lets the moisture in, which this sand does not. It just repels water. This does not. This holds water, it holds the moisture. I don't need to water nearly as much now, because it, you know, once I've watered, now I'm watering, you know, once every 2 days. So, and I'm, you know, it's hot up here. Okay, so I hope that shows you something. I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm working with it. I'm just trying to do my best, and for me, it's it definitely is working. It's awesome. I love it. So I made this out of earth bags. I'll just show you, and I'm building steps and trying to get myself up onto this topmost layer now. But yeah, so that's my garden. I'll very quickly as well, I'll show you this because it's quite nice. This is all made out of earth bags as well, same thing. That's my little fairy area. And then I made this out of an old towel and some concrete, and it's a beautiful flow form. I'll run it for you at some point if you're interested in how to make one of those. I can explain that too. And that's Peach, and thank you very much. Goodbye.